Hi y'all, I'm Melody, and welcome to my channel where I discuss fragrances. Today, I wanted to go over the 7 Virtues Discovery Set. If you're interested in my thoughts, please keep watching. So it has been a challenging several weeks now after our vacation. I had mentioned in a previous video that my middle daughter had to go to the hospital. In the past 3 weeks, she's been 4 times. She's doing fine, and we've had some losses in the family, and then everybody caught COVID. So we've just been going through it, and so that's why I haven't been posting anything the last week. I had several videos planned, and I was going to start recording, and I just never got to it. I honestly noticed people catching COVID in the family and thought I ought to film something before I get it. But then I just never got around to it, and then I got it and I lost my sense of smell entirely. That was such a weird sensation. My experience with COVID wasn't too terrible, and to me it was kind of like the flu or something. I understand that a lot of people have really suffered through it, and my heart goes out to all of them, but everyone in our household is perfectly fine. We're doing a-okay now, but it's just been a couple really tough weeks. So I wanted to share this 7 Virtues Discovery Set with everyone. I picked up this 7 Virtues Discovery Set while we were still in Oregon visiting my family, and I filmed a first impressions with these fragrances, and then I spent time wearing each one for a day so that I could take more in-depth notes, and I put that in my notebook. And then I happened to leave my notebook in Oregon, so I had to wait till my mom shipped it back to me to film this video. And then we caught COVID, and so this video is a lot later than I had originally hoped it would be. So I'll cut to what I filmed of my first impressions in Oregon, and then I'll come back and go over all of my thoughts on these fragrances. So this year I wanted to make some videos discovering new fragrance houses, purchasing different discovery sets, or finding really popular fragrances from those houses and sampling them, first giving first impressions and then wearing them for a while and giving you my full thoughts and what I think I'd want to purchase or what I'm not as interested in. So each month I will have a new fragrance house that I'm delving into, that I'm looking for fragrances that I might want to purchase. So for January I picked 7 Virtues. I have smelled a few of their fragrances just in passing. I haven't really tested any on my skin, so I thought it'd be fun to start with 7 Virtues. I think that their bottles are really pretty, and what I've smelled of the fragrances, they are quite nice. So on the box it says the Peace Blend box with ethically sourced natural, organic, and fair trade essential oils. This is how to use. Create your own signature peace perfume by pairing any of your 7 fragrances together. So I wasn't aware, but I guess 7 Virtues have made their fragrances for layering. They say best for lifting spirits, awakening and energizing, providing calm and balance, reducing tension, and meditating. The story: these perfumes build peace. They provide dignity and meaningful employment in communities rebuilding after war or strife. These were made with organic sugarcane alcohol, formulated without parabens, sulfates, or phthalates. They're cruelty-free and vegan. So there are 7 fragrances in this discovery set. They come from different areas of the world. So I think that's really cool that they are striving to be ethically sourced, and that they are helping to benefit war-torn countries. I think that's so awesome. I'm really excited to test these out and give some of my thoughts. I haven't worn any of these before. I've smelled, I believe I've smelled Vanilla Woods and their newer one. I don't know if that's in here. I don't recall what it's called, but there's a new, is it a Blackberry and Bay or something? That could be an entirely different fragrance house. But I feel like there was one other one from Seven Virtues I've tried, and I believe it was a newer one. But I've not tested these on my skin. I've just smelled them on a sample card. So I'm going to start with Orange Blossom. It says, this perfume helps protect girls from forced marriage in Afghanistan. So I'm just going to spray on the box over here to give it a shot. So this one is very green and citrusy. There's something sharp to it. Yeah, very green. I will... It's nice. It's definitely very unique. Yeah, I'm picking up more of the citrus. I definitely think since these are intended for layering, adding this to something that might be sweeter would maybe cut that. Yeah, the green kind of notes to it are quite nice and unique. I really like that. So next we have Rose Amber. It says, our farmers earn twice the income growing rose instead of the illegal poppy crop. That's really cool too. So I didn't expect to like this one. I'm not a big fan of rose, but there's something slightly sweet in here. I do kind of like this one. I'll have to get this one on my skin and see how I feel about it. It tickles the back of my throat a little bit, but there is something that makes me want to keep coming back to this one. Next we have Vetiver Elemy. This is Haiti. This perfume helps sustain farmlands devastated by the 2010 earthquake. So I'm not sure what Elemy is, and I don't typically like vetiver. I like a lot of woods like sandalwood and cedar, but vetiver hasn't really worked for me very much, and I'm not entirely sure why. Yeah, this one, it like is pretty sharp, and it like really bothers my nose. But there's something in the background. Maybe it's the Elemy. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not quite sure what that is, but this is actually quite nice after the vetiver kind of goes away. I'm not sure what this is, but it's really pretty. I haven't tried any of these on my skin, and I've found oftentimes that I'll like maybe 10 fragrances on a card, and then I'll put them on my skin, and they do kind of weird or funky things, and I find that I don't like them after that, so we will see. I'm first just trying to get my impressions of them like on paper, and then I want to try some of them on my skin and give some impressions then, and then I want to spend some time with these fragrances and really test them out and see what I really do love. So Vetiver Elemy started off with like this kind of scent that I just didn't care for. That vetiver was really strong and hurt my nose, but it is kind of dry into something a little sweet, and it's kind of relaxing actually. So next one we have Grapefruit Lime. This perfume promotes peace. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, no, I will keep. So I'm not a big fan of citruses, especially lime. That's not a fragrance that I tend to be drawn to. It smells like a spicy cleaning product to me. No, this one I don't care for. I don't think I'll even be trying this on my skin. Yeah, no. The next is Patchouli Citrus from Rwanda. Oh, I forgot to say, the Grapefruit Lime is from Israel and Iran. So Patchouli Citrus, this one is, the patchouli harvest gives widows and adult orphans their economic independence. Okay, so yeah, it's definitely like a citrus patchouli. It's kind of a musty patchouli. It's pretty strong. I get a little bit of that citrus. I'm not the biggest fan of patchouli. When it's done really well and mixed nicely, I like it, but there's so many fragrances that like patchoulis that I just don't care for. One of my favorite fragrances that I think does patchouli really well is Flower Bomb, but I found a lot of them to just kind of be boring, and the patchouli's a little bothersome to my nose, so I'm not the biggest fan. And so this one I also am not loving. I don't think I'll try this one on my skin now. I will still, even though I don't like it, still try and test it on my skin later, but I just only have so much room for this first impressions to see what things smell like on my skin. So this one I think I'll be passing on now, but I will give it a shot later. Next is Jasmine Neroli. It says, this perfume provides financial assistance that supports agriculture. And that is in India. Ooh, this one's really nice. So I really do like a lot of jasmines. So I'll have to mention this again. I hear people say indolic jasmine, and I don't know exactly what that means, nor have I been able to find a very good answer for what that means. I've tried to Google it, I've looked at Fragrantica. I don't know what indolic jasmine means, so I'm not sure if this would be considered an indolic jasmine, but it's actually kind of sweet. It reminds me of something. Kind of reminds me of my Grandma Mary somehow. I don't think she was into perfumes very much, but she often would have different like scented soaps or candles and things like that. So it could be from that. This is actually really nice. It kind of smells a little bit like a mature jasmine. I don't think of it as like a young fragrance actually. But there is something sweet about it, but also kind of, to my nose, mature. Like something older that I would have smelled when I was young. So it's not like a modern scent to me, but I really do like it. It's definitely very floral in a way that, like, if someone's really not into florals, they wouldn't care for it. I just keep wanting to smell it. It just smells really good. Yeah, I like this one. Now, lastly, we have Vanilla Woods. This one I have sampled before, but I haven't tried it on my skin, so I'm interested to try this on my skin. So it's Madagascar. This perfume helps provide education and health care. Okay, I'm just gonna spray this here on the front. I've already smelled this one before. Oh yeah, I mean, I love vanilla. When I had smelled this one before, I feel like this one smells, no, it smells so good. Something about it reminded me of By the Fireplace. I mean, they're both like vanilla fragrances, but there's something woody about it. It's just like a less smoky version to me. Like I would say this is somewhere between like the Fresh Cream Warm Cashmere by Philosophy and By the Fireplace. It's like a less smoky version of that, and it's not quite as like sweet and just like basic as Fresh Cream Warm Cashmere. but it's a really lovely woody vanilla. Okay, so I wanted to try on my skin the Orange Blossom, Rose Amber. I want to try Vetiver Elemy, Jasmine Neroli, and Vanilla Woods. So I will spray each of them on and wait a little bit to see how I feel. So let's start with the Orange Blossom, making sure I don't have any other scent on my skin. So, it's very peppery in the opening, like really, really peppery. I'm not smelling anything but pepper, so let me, oh, there we go, okay. It's sweetening up, maybe that's the Orange Blossom. I'm gonna give it a little time to warm up. Next I have Rose Amber. I'll put on this hand. Okay. Very soapy smelling. Get a lot of rose. There's something slightly sweet. It doesn't really smell like a mature rose, but it smells, you get a strong whiff of rose. It's almost like a rose water. It's not like a heavy rose at all. But there's something to it. I don't know what else is there. I'm gonna wait and see how this warms up on my skin. Now for the Vetiver Elemy. I'll spray this over here. Oh, that smells so good. Okay. See, when I was on the paper, I got a strong, I got like a really strong vetiver right away. But this one is something else. It's just refreshing and slightly peppery. I'm not sure what's in these. I kind of wanted to avoid looking at any notes and just try and test my nose to see if I could notice anything from the fragrance, but I really want to go for Grantica and just like look up the notes and see what I'm smelling, because I don't even know what Elemy is, but this is quite nice. There's something to it that's like really unique to my nose. There is something though. It reminds me of my childhood, like when I was really young. And I'm not sure if it's a good memory or like a bad memory. But there is something that's beyond that, that's like kind of addicting, and I just want to keep smelling it. I'm kind of trying to place where I know this smell from, but it was from when I was really, really young. But I actually am quite enjoying this scent. So next I have Jasmine Neroli. I'll spray right over here. Yeah, this is quite nice. But you really have to like your florals. This is really nice, but you really have to enjoy your florals. It is a very heavy jasmine scent. I really like it, but it is very floral. There's something else to it that smells like kind of sweet and sour to me. Not sour in a bad way, but like there's like a little bit of a kick to the sweetness. So it's like jasmine, something sweet. It's a little punchy. I like it, but it kind of reminds me of some kind of soap. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that is. I really, really want to look up the notes. I'm very curious. I love looking at the notes and kind of studying why certain fragrances mixed together smell a certain way. But I kind of want to test my nose and see how I smell things and what they really smell like. So I'm going to try and avoid that. I think I will come back and test the fragrances several times and really give them a good full wear and take some notes on each of the fragrances, and then look at notes and stuff and see how things line up. So I have one last fragrance to try, Vanilla Woods. I love a really great vanilla fragrance. Okay, yeah, I pick up a lot more of the woods on my skin. It is a lot woodier. Sorry, I've been smelling so many fragrances now. My nose is getting really itchy. Okay. Oh, I feel like this one is stronger than the others. I could smell it right away. Oh, it is so nice. Okay, so I'm gonna see how they've warmed up on my skin. This Orange Blossom Neroli is nice. It's this like really peppery citrus, but it's not me. Do you ever just smell something and just know immediately it's like not for you? That's what this one is. It's pretty, but doesn't fit my personality whatsoever. Next is Rose Amber. It's really subtle. This is a rose I think I'd like. I've not found any rose fragrances that I've loved. I have a few in my collection. I'm still like working to see how I feel about them, but they're sometimes too heavy, and sometimes they work for me, and other times I just don't feel like wearing it. But this one is really subtle, kind of like a rose water, and it smells really nice. Next we have Vetiver Elemy. I'm getting more of that vetiver now. I'm not really loving it. I just can't get with vetiver. It's not a note that I really care for whatsoever. So I don't think I will definitely be testing this, but I just don't think I like it. I think it's in that category with other ones that just don't work for me. I wanted to love it. That Elemy is maybe what I think I was smelling before. That was really nice, but this part, yeah, it's not great. Now for the Jasmine Neroli. Yeah, it's like I said before, it's a very kind of mature smelling fragrance. It reminds me of something in my childhood, something like my grandmother may have worn. I'm not sure that she even wore fragrances. Could have been a soap, but definitely something mature. Could have been my grandmother had a jasmine bush. It is very strong and floral, but there's something really intoxicating about it. I really like it. Last we have Vanilla Woods. Yeah, oh, this one is so good. It is really woody on me. It is such a nice woody vanilla. I don't know what else to say. I think immediately this is full bottle worthy. I don't know that I have to test it to know. It's so nice. It's like a less smoky version of By the Fireplace, and I think I would pick this up like immediately. I did a full bottle worthy video on Nirvana bourbon, and I really loved that fragrance, but I didn't want to buy something that was discontinued and fall in love with it and spend as much as they're charging for that fragrance. So I've been looking for something that's kind of woody and like a woody vanilla, and I think this might be a really good option for that. I've tested all of those and given my first impressions. I'll be coming back after a little bit and of testing of all of them and giving you my final thoughts. The first fragrance I tried for the week was Orange Blossom. In my notes I had written down that it opens up really bright and green. It begins to dry down and get a little bit more creamy. The citruses are still there, and it starts to kind of smell like this orange creamsicle, but still a little green, as if you were like eating a creamsicle outside and there's a bunch of grass around. So when it really dried down, it gets even creamier and warmer, and it's really nice. But when I push my hand up to my nose, you could still kind of get the slight green smell still. I noted that in the deep dry down that it gets a little spicy. I'm guessing that's from the vetiver. I've had that happen a number of times when testing fragrances with vetiver. I've noticed that they can sometimes come off as a little earthy and spicy. So in that dry down, it has a tiny presence of spice. The projection was always really close. It wasn't more than about an arm's length away, and the longevity was only about 4 hours, which for the cost, I think is a little poor, but if you're really interested in a fragrance that kind of smells like a creamsicle, I think this is a pretty nice one. Now, if you don't like anything green, this might not be the fragrance for you. I would argue that most of the Seven Virtues fragrances might not be for you if you're not into anything green. I actually don't mind the little green note. I think it gives it something unique. There are other fragrances that do smell like creamsicles that I've heard of. I've maybe smelled one before, but if you're looking for something that's a little unique, has that kind of creamsicle smell to it, but is a little different, I think that the Orange Blossom is actually a really beautiful fragrance. I don't think it's at the top of my list to get right now, but I think that there is a time and place for this. I think this would actually be like a really fun summer scent that's a little different. So many summer fragrances to me come off as like coconut, the really tropical or something, but this is altogether pretty unique, and it would be one that I'd consider purchasing. Next, I tried Rose Amber. I wrote down that this is a spicy, sharp rose opening, and it really stays that way. It stung my nose. In the mid, it becomes this kind of soft, watery rose, but it still kind of bothered me the entire time. Eventually, it becomes really subtle in the dry down, and it's quite nice at that point. It like warms up and becomes this kind of warm, sweet floral. But at about 3 hours, it's a skin scent. So this definitely wasn't my favorite. However, I don't really like rose to begin with, so I couldn't imagine this becoming a fragrance that I would use often. But to me, there was just something kind of off-putting about this. Next, I have Vetiver Elemy. Immediately, it was like the smooth wood scent, and I really like woody fragrances, but as it dried down, it got kind of medicinal. So I'm not really sure where that medicinal smell came from, but it just stuck around, and then it became a skin scent within about 3 hours. So this is definitely not my favorite of the bunch, though I really liked that like woody smell in the very beginning. I think there are a lot better woody fragrances than this one. So next I had Grapefruit Lime. This opened up with something lime and then green. There's petitgrain and basil and green tea, bamboo, juniper. So there's a list of notes that could have made this really green. It eventually started drying down, and you could really pick up that cumin, which was really unpleasant to my nose. I really didn't care for that. In the end, it was drying down to be kind of tea citrus scent, and though I have had some tea scents that I've liked before, I believe Flower Bomb even has a tea note in it. This fragrance never got to a place that I enjoyed it. I just wrote on here, I really dislike this scent. So for me, this was an absolute no. It wasn't quite a scrubber. I managed to stick through it, but it just was not very pleasant. So unfortunately, I would not recommend this fragrance at all. I honestly don't recall how long this lasted, but as it goes, usually the fragrances you don't like last a lot longer than the fragrances you do like. So yeah, that one was just not for me. Now we have Patchouli Citrus. I wrote that this opens to like a really dirty patchouli smell and super green. There's also something that was really spicy, either the black pepper or maybe even geranium, that was just really irritating to my nose. And then it honestly smelled like urine. I think that's the cases. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I have heard before that that can often come off as like kind of a cat pee smell, and that's what happened with this fragrance. I had to scrub it like almost immediately. I did not keep this on my skin for very long, so I don't know anything about its longevity. I would not recommend this fragrance at all. It was a complete fail. I think it was actually really disgusting, and just not for me whatsoever. Next we had Jasmine Neroli. It opens up to this sweet floral. It reminds me of something from my childhood. I'm not entirely sure, and I could not figure out what it was. So it's kind of soapy and a little green. I think the green might be the neroli. The soapiness I think is probably from the jasmine, but I really liked it. It is very heavily floral, and white florals in particular. So I know a lot of people don't like white florals, so if that's the case, this is definitely not a fragrance for you, but I really liked it. I did find myself getting a bit of a headache. It's probably from the jasmine, but I likely oversprayed. So had I not and just sprayed a few times, I think I would be fine. I actually quite enjoyed this. But in the mid, there was something slightly animalic about it. I couldn't quite tell what that was. There's labdanum in it, and so I'm guessing that might have been what it was. But then in the dry down, it just becomes a really nice amber scent. It's definitely not my favorite, but it is up there on the list. I do think it was a rather nice fragrance, but you really have to like white florals to enjoy this fragrance, and I do happen to enjoy most white florals, depending on how they're mixed. It lasted about 4 hours, and still, I think that's okay. Anything above 3 hours, I'm willing to work with. The prices on these bottles isn't terrible. I believe it's about $85, which is pretty high. For 4 hours, I think I'd prefer it to last at least 6, so I'm not going to run out and buy a bottle of this. There isn't something that I would say that is super unique about this fragrance, so it's on there. It might go on my wish list. I liked it, but I'm not sure if it's a love, so I probably won't be buying a bottle. But if you are one who likes amber fragrances, or you're really into white florals, this could be a really nice fragrance for you. I did really like it, but it's honestly probably not something I will be buying. Lastly, we have Vanilla Woods. I really love this fragrance. It is really woody to me, just like it says. It's slight vanilla, but at the beginning I get like this strong woody scent. I get a slight fruitiness, but sometimes I actually don't smell much of that pear at all. I don't get rose whatsoever. It is more of a skin scent. It doesn't really project very far, but it is super cozy. I do have this on my list as a fragrance to get. I actually find this to be somewhere between a vanilla bourbon from Mix Bar and By the Fireplace. It kind of feels like it's right in between there as this woody, kind of smoky vanilla fragrance. But this one does have a tiny bit of a fruity aspect to it that I don't think either of those two have. It is on my list of fragrances to get, but I'll be honest, right now, in the middle of winter, I've been using so many vanillas that I'm a little vanillaed out right now. I'm sure that I will want to pick this up before next fall, but as of this point, I'm not running out to grab it, but I do think it is a beautiful fragrance. It's definitely Seven Virtues' most popular fragrance, and that's for good reason. Of all of the fragrances in this lineup, this was by far my favorite. It is a very beautiful vanilla fragrance, albeit not super unique. I don't think of this as like being an outstanding, remarkable, completely different kind of vanilla, but it is really nice, and I like that bit of a fruity pear aspect to the fragrance. However, I find it to be smoky, and I don't know exactly where that smokiness comes from, but I do actually really enjoy this fragrance. I decided I'd rank them for you. For me, in 7th place was Patchouli Citrus. That was disgusting. I absolutely hated it. I would never consider buying it. there's nothing nice I can say, so I'll just keep moving on. Next is Grapefruit Lime. It's just very green, very citrus, just kind of off-putting. In fifth place, I have Rose Amber. That might just be a personal thing. I'm not a very big fan of rose, and there are a lot of amber fragrances that bother me as well. So it just was not very pleasant to my nose the whole time. That rose was just kind of bothersome. Even when it got kind of softer, it was just not the fragrance for me. In fourth place, I had Vetiver Elemy. That beginning is actually quite nice. I recall when I got my first impressions of it, I did really like it, but as it dried down, it just was not a fragrance that I really enjoyed too much, but it was nice. In third place, there's Jasmine Neroli. I really actually like it. I do like a lot of jasmine fragrances. It reminds me of something in my childhood that I just couldn't place. It's really nice, but it's probably not a fragrance I'll be picking up. In second place, I put Orange Blossom. It is a really nice creamsicle kind of green fragrance that I really enjoyed. I found that to be really unique and something that I would definitely put on my fragrance wish list, albeit it might not be the first thing I run out and grab, but it's definitely a fragrance that I am very interested in. And in first place is Vanilla Woods, another fragrance that I really enjoy. I think it had good longevity and projection. I don't think it is the most spectacular vanilla out there, but I do think it has its place, and I think it is quite a beautiful fragrance. So that if I have the opportunity, I'd probably go out and get that. I think this Seven Virtues Discovery set was a hit. There were some fragrances I did like, albeit a lot that I was not the biggest fan of. I think if someone does not really like a green fragrance, this is probably not the set to look at. A lot of their fragrances are very green, but I don't really mind that. I think I had problems with other notes other than the green notes. In fact, the Orange Blossom is quite green, but that is a fragrance that I'm even considering picking up. So you'll really have to enjoy a little bit of a green note here or there. I think all of them have something really green to them, with the exception of Vanilla Woods, and so I'm guessing that's why Vanilla Woods is their favorite. I know a lot of people are off-put by a lot of green notes. So be advised, if you're not a fan of green fragrances, I would not recommend picking up this Discovery set. However, if you are looking for something that's a bit unique, I would recommend this set. So that's my video for today. I originally planned on having it last week, but I hope to have more videos just like this one where I get a Discovery set and to have some first impressions and then really test out the fragrances and come back with a more conclusive opinions on the fragrances. So I have those planned. I also have a lot of other videos planned, so if you've enjoyed this, or if you've enjoyed hearing me talk about fragrances and my opinions, I would really love it if you'd subscribe. I'd also love to hear what your thoughts are on any of these Seven Virtues fragrances. I know you can pick them up at Sephora, and you can test them there, so I would love to know what's your favorite Seven Virtues fragrance, and if you have any fragrances you recommend that I try, I would love if you would drop that down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I'm so glad you've joined me here. I hope you have a blessed day. Bye.